is recommended by the nominating committee. Is there a motion? Trustee Rosen-Asher, second trustee Galen, all in favor. That passes unanimously. We're moving to today's agenda, a discussion regarding the 2024 recreation events. So I think we have the superintendent of the recreation department here. So welcome, Kendra, and if you could just run us through what you're thinking. By the way, I've been getting great compliments about the programs that you put on last year, and we hope to keep it moving this year. So what do you got for us?
Perfect. So we're hoping to bring back almost all of the ones that we did last year. So the first one would be the Food Truck Festival in May. And then the Friday night concerts that we did down at Waterfront Park, we're looking to do that again from June 21st to August 9th.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry.
Is it on?
I think so.
Thank you.
The other one that we're looking to do is the Soapbox Derby. This past summer was the first time we did it for the 150th. A ton of people came out and people asked us to do it again.
The one thing about that is it was great. Is there a way that the cost, a lot of people told me they couldn't do it because of the cost. And I don't know how if we can work maybe with Spring or somebody else to make it available to more people, because I think it was like, what, $100 something?
It was $150, and that was to cover the cost of the kit.
Yeah, I know. We didn't make money, I know, but it's just,
Yeah.
let's
We
think
can
about
certainly
how.
reach out to them and kind
Yeah.
of see what we can do. And I know last year also some of the restaurants and stores were willing to like kind of sponsor somebody who wanted to do it. We didn't get anybody for it, but maybe this year we can advertise.
Yeah, that would be great.
I was going to say, my local community in Maine, my town in Maine, they do a soapbox derby every year, and the local businesses and entities sponsor the car, and then the logos are on the car.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sponsorship. So my nephew won with MBNA for 1 year, and it was all over the car, so.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll
There's
reach out
the
to
ad
them
dollars
again
at
and
work
look
right
into
there.
it. Yeah.
Is that legal, Counselor? That plug?
Well, MBNA no longer exists, so I think I'm safe to use that name because they're gone. And my nephew is 35, so I'm safe.
Go ahead, Kendra, I'm sorry.
The other thing we'd like to do is the carnival again at Waterfront Park. We did it for the 150th, but we'd like to bring it back again from July 4th to July 8th. The other would be the fireworks and the picnic on July 4th. And then we have the Halloween Bash in October 27th, it's a Sunday down at Waterfront Park. And then the Holiday Light Parade in conjunction with the tree lighting.
That was great, the holiday. That was a great idea you had. It was
It was tons of
fantastic,
fun.
so we appreciate it. What about, and I want you to consider, because some people came up to me on New Year's Eve and said, we love the idea of dropping the ball on New Year's Eve. But I know it's the staff has to work on New Year's Eve, so that's a problem, right?
We're not opposed to it, although look at Stephen behind me.
Stephen,
Stephen is highly opposed to it.
We have the ball. Someone donated the ball.
right, we have the ball.
I think we would need some help with it, but I don't think it's something we'd be totally opposed to.
Okay, because I did get more than a few people who asked me, why aren't we
You
doing
could do a
it?
New Year's Eve,
We could.
you know what I mean?
You
Like
could
a
do
Sunday
a
before.
half-year New Year, like a half-year, the 6 months in, you could do a half-year eve or something.
Those are great events, and like I said, especially the new ones, it was very innovative and people really loved it. So, thank you for that.
I would just add, I didn't go to every event, obviously, but I can't tell you how many smiles I saw over the summer down at Waterfront Park that you and your team made happen. It was really great.
That's so great to hear.
And not just kids. And as I've mentioned to you, I think finding a way for you to be able to expand some of those community events into the winter months, like the Grinch thing that you did, and even more concerts or whatever, if we can figure out how to do it, would be a wonderful amenity for the community.
You know, you didn't
We're
mention,
open to
or I
it.
missed the trivia. Did you mention that you're going to do the trivia again at the park?
So we are going to do trivia again. It wasn't one that required like police or DPW, but we will be bringing that back.
Okay. And how's the
Probably in
ice-
April.
How's the ice skating going?
Awful. I think we got 2 hours out of it this year, but we'll keep trying.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Kendra? Kendra, we'd like to see you maybe in 4 months, so you could tell us what's else. I know you love coming here and speaking in front of all of us.
Of course
but
I
we
do.
would love to see you maybe in 4 months just to update us again on what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next from the workshop agenda is the painting of the Pride crosswalk and the aqueduct striping. I think, Steve, you were going to get some information on that? Okay, do we have any other comments or, I forget where we left it off.
Yeah, where did we leave it?
The last time we talked about this, we sort of had this consensus that we wanted to repaint the pride flag, but as the crosswalk instead of having the flag in the middle of the intersection. So we wanted to do that rather than repaint the flag that's there, would be to put something new.
I thought we also talked about the striping that we were gonna do, maybe having that also be pride.
Right.
Striping for the aqueduct in the back.
Oh, like the pathway?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was the
But I
cross.
think that one is easy. The challenge was, the first issue
Right.
was that there was
Right, but we
some,
wanted the crosswalk, which is what we wanted originally, was the actual crosswalk. right?
So one of the pieces of conversation about the crosswalk was, and I'm glad the chief is still here, right? There he is. So Jessica, the chief, Officer Colvin, Administrator Yamuter, the chief, and I, we all went down to look for a spot to place a stop sign on Cedar Street, which is long been considered necessary by the traffic committee, and I think there's a general consensus that it's a good idea. And we identified a spot which was sort of more contiguous with where people cross anyway from the aqueduct, and then we promptly forgot exactly where that spot was. So, Chief, if you wouldn't mind, maybe we could postpone this conversation and figure out where that stop sign goes, because a crosswalk would go with it, and that would be sort of a more visible
So would
place
that be
to.
done before Greenberg Pride on
When
June
is that?
23rd?
Well,
Chief, could you come up for a second? Because I know you had reservations in the past about painting a pride colors on the crosswalk, and I don't know if your opinion have changed or not, or how do you feel about it?
In my opinion, it has changed in that I haven't seen any data that's indicating anything dangerous in regards to the crosswalk. As we, have moved beyond the original conversation, so I certainly have a more open opinion at this point, so we can continue talking about that.
Okay, great. And so, Stephen, you're going to work on getting the paints? Is that what you said?
He was talking about the flags for the
It's the same
flagpoles.
colors, I'm assuming, right?
You mean the flags for the poles?
Talking about something
Two different things.
About pride flags. We're talking about the pride painted crosswalk.
But I think we need an actual plan, like,
Yeah.
for the crosswalk that starts at where the aqueduct hits Cedar Street. We need to,
There's no crosswalk
I'm
there.
aware there's no crosswalk there. We need to figure out where that crosswalk crossing is going to be vis-à-vis the stop sign that trustee Rosenberg was just speaking about. And then we need to have a plan for, like, I don't know what that looks like, but some sort of sketch that I assume that we need to vote on or approve that shows there's going to be striping demarcating that the aqueduct pedestrian trail crosses Cedar, goes into the Cedar lot, crosses Oak, goes into the Oak lot, crosses Elm, Chestnut, all the way to Broadway. That's what we were discussing last time. So whatever we need to do to get to the point where that is being implemented, I think is what we need to do.
Right, and I want to be sensitive to the fact that, that if we don't let people know exactly what we're doing and we cover up the one that exists, or we paint over the one that exists for whatever reason, there's going to be people who are going to be like, oh, they covered up the flag. So we want to just have everything be very transparent so people
coordinated.
know this is what the discussion is, because we know people aren't watching this meeting, right? So we want to be able to have it go out in the newsletter, go out in a thing to say that this is, what we're doing. And I don't know how long it takes to figure out where to put a stop sign, or to get a stop sign, or to get the crosswalk painted. You're the traffic guy, so you know that, but I'm just letting you know that June 23rd is a very important date, because when the flag was painted, it was right before we did Greenberg Pride, and it was a really big deal. to a lot of people.
I
So-
think that if we can, if the chief and Rob and I and maybe Jessica. if
Well, that's
you
what I
wanna
was
come,
gonna suggest.
We
Let's have
want to go out and
sort of-
take that walk again, we can figure it out pretty quickly.
Let's do this
Well,
on
we
a, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't remember talking about every crosswalk on Cedar
don't
and
either.
Main being Pride. I remember talking about the one across, like right below where it is now. And I don't have
Not
any,
everyone.
I think that's what Jessica said.
I said that they need to be marked as the aqueduct, which is
Right.
a separate question from
Just a
marking them
separate
as
cross-
rainbow.
Not
like
separate than
Pride.
Rainbow
Right.
Pride.
I think having the Pride crosswalk, the closest crosswalk, whatever it ends
Okay.
up being, to the current location would be fantastic. And additionally, while we're doing that, we should also pursue the striping across the aqueduct pedestrian trail that overlaps with our roads and our parking lots.
I thought we already approved that.
I
So.
thought we did too, but here,
One other comment, Rob, this is as much for you as anybody else. In the past, when the question of doing something along or on the aqueduct has come up, they've had to be involved in making decisions. At one point, we wanted to put signs demarking, and showing where things were downtown, and we got the no from the OCA. So somebody's going to have to negotiate that, not so much in our street, I assume, but maybe in the parking lot, because they have a right-of-way there.
Yeah, we actually had a very good meeting on another topic regarding the drainage down at Village Hall. We had 3 or 4 representatives, high level from the state parks, Linda Cooper and all her team. They actually gave us samples of the electronic permits, whether it's paving or actually digging the trenches, because we're trying to put some pipes in there, working with the post office. So we have a lot of good contacts with the OCA, that they all came down to the meeting, which I could bring that up to them and said, get those permits. That shouldn't be the issue.
Okay, so this is what I'm,
At the last workshop, you mentioned you'd spoken to them, and they said painting, because it doesn't involve any disturbance.
Structural.
Surface and it's.
Painting is perfectly.
so what I'm saying what we should do is have an unofficial subcommittee, Rob, trustees Rosenberg, trustee Galen, and the police chief, and Steve Trezza on this, and put this plan together, and then report back to us 2 weeks from today, and we'll see what's happening, okay?
If you can get me the location of the stop sign, I can start the process for a local law, because as you know, it requires a local law because it's a traffic control device.
Doesn't it require now, didn't we change it so that it's just a part of a list now, rather than a separate local law for
But I-
each stop sign?
I have to get it on the list, so just get me the location, so many feet west of this or that, or at the intersection in the direction of
Great.
northbound.
Chief, before we leave, let's just if we can, make a date to take that walk.
So Rob, you have who's on that subcommittee, and you're gonna follow up on that, right?
Yeah, if I can put something together, I'll send some
Okay.
available dates out tomorrow.
All right, great.
Maybe next week we can do this.
Okay, that's great. So I'm leaving it to you 5. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to have a public hearing, so we need a motion to open the public hearing concerning the law amending the definition of income. So is there a motion to open the public hearing? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor. The public hearing is hereby open. Laura Lee, do you want to give us
Sure.
some background on this?
Sure, the New York State Legislature last year in their budget process amended this definition to be more closely aligned. This is the authorizing legislation for you to be able to pass along these exemptions. They amended the definition to be more closely aligned with the federal adjusted gross income on your income tax. It makes it much easier in terms of the administration of the process. And also, that local law added some 3 options, 2 of which you had already had in your law, and the other is a toggle, so you can include in the definition of income the proceeds from these retirement accounts. So you instructed me to write this so it matches the definition using the federal adjusted gross income as a basis, plus you asked me to include in that definition that toggle, you're going to toggle it on to include the proceeds from the retirement accounts. So that's what this local law does.
So this law will expand the definition of income, adjusted gross income, and take into account other sources of income that in the past were not considered.
The only source of income that you're including, and you have the other things already in your code, the only source of income you're including which hasn't been in there in the past, is these, the proceeds from these retirement.
Individual retirement accounts.
Yes, the IRA.
Well, and the social security benefits.
No, that was always in there.
That was?
Yes, it was always in your code. It's,
Interesting.
you adopted it with your local law for this particular exemption. The
It's
only
just-
change
Well,
is that now it matches with the basis of federal adjusted gross income, and the only other change is that you're also including in income this IRA proceeds.
I think we need to be thoughtful about not inadvertently excluding people from this exemption, right? I mean, are we,
I don't think the point was you inadvertently excluding. I think that this was a discussion at your VOC from your assessor. She had suggested that since it's based on this change and that the IRA proceeds are now included in the federal authorization, that if you wanted to include them, you needed to do that as an affirmative act. And that was the instruction from the work session where this discussion came up.
but I guess the question is, this is going to take people out of the, do I understand that?
Yeah, it might.
It might, it depends upon the proceeds from the IRA, yes. Yes, this is the senior citizen exemption having to do with the SCRE and the DRE and the people that are living in rent-controlled apartments, and also it includes the disabled, senior disabled, all of those. So the likelihood that IRA proceeds would be coming to these seniors is not a large percentage. I don't know if we know how many you have that qualified in the past.
There were very few seniors that were taking advantage of this exemption.
You had a list, I think.
There was a list, I gave it to Rob, I believe.
Yes. You were at the VOC meeting when
I was at
this-
the VOC meeting, but there was like a handful of seniors that actually take
Oh,
advantage.
so this isn't going to push
It's
it
not
back?
going to impact a lot of people at all.
It's less than 10.
I mean, maybe in 20 years it might impact people, but they'll be prepared for it because
Right.
the law is what we're not going to really be shifting people.
Yeah, we had spoken about like phasing it in, but
Retroactive,
we
yeah.
decided not to, because I think the number of people were not.
Okay.
The spirit of it, if I'm understanding it correctly, was that for folks who are on fixed incomes, who are seniors, that this benefit, that they will not be adversely affected by this change. And the idea is to make it a benefit that's accessible to those who are
truly worthy of it.
not,
You need it.
The point was that somebody has an adjusted gross income of $50,000, so they qualify, but meanwhile, they get a $150,000 distribution from their
$2 million.
IRA or 2 million. And so
Exactly,
like
$2
they're taking
million
advantage of
in
a
an
tax
IRA, they
exemption
shouldn't
on
get
our
it.
backs that they don't
Right.
really need.
But again, we had less than 10, I think, total.
It was,
that
it was very
8 or
few.
10, yeah.
Yeah, this was, again, it was based on instructions. If you want to amend it, we can table this and pull it back off, and I can readjust.
I'm
We'd start-
fully in support of keeping it the way you've written it, both because we had a full discussion about this before, because it is fair, and because, basing it off of AGI is much easier math for people to do than have two separate calculations that they have to make.
Any other discussion? Okay, anybody from the public, is there anybody online? No? Is there anybody online? Can you even tell? Is there anybody?
I shut this down because only Margaret was online.
they can be watching on
Shut down
YouTube
Margaret.
as well, right?
They could be watching on YouTube,
She's on
If
vacation.
someone's watching on
but
YouTube,
nobody's going to raise their hand on YouTube.
Well, yeah.
same people.
Okay, so is there a motion to close the public hearing? Trustee Patino, second trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. The public hearing is hereby closed, and I believe we have a resolution.
We do.
So, is there a motion to amend the definition of income for the purpose of simplifying the administration of real property tax exemptions for eligible senior citizens? Trustee Rosenberg, second trustee Galen, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Next is courtesy of the floor. Is there anybody for courtesy of the floor? Come on up.
Good evening, Luke Mullen, resident of Dobbs Ferry. I wanted to check in with the progress I made with the chair of the FESTA committee. The chairperson gave me 2 flyers of how the event started and went over a quick review of it for the plan for the festa to be held at the waterfront. I would be in charge of organizing with the help of the mayor and the board of trustees. I will be discussing further plans of how it should go, and I have to change the name of the event. So I was thinking the name of it should be, instead of the Dobbs Ferry
Luke, could I
Festa.
just interrupt you? I mean, you said you met with the chair of who?
Oh, sorry, the chair of the Festa Committee.
And he told you what exactly?
He told me that I just have to change the name and that you guys have to kind of help me out a little bit.
To vote on moving the location to a different, to waterfront?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think there's any, the Board of Trustees, and I appreciate everything that you've done on this, but the board is not, at this time, the board is not of the idea, or we don't want to move it to a different location. So it's going to be kept downtown. We've consulted with the Chamber of Commerce, the businesses, so for the upcoming year, the Ferry Festa will be downtown Dobbs Ferry.
So it's still going to be downtown?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what was the decision again to change it, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind me asking?
Why did we make that decision?
Yes. again.
Because the whole point of this now, there's other festivals that we're going to have at the waterfront, but the whole idea behind Ferry Festa is to bring people into the downtown. So we encourage people to come downtown, shop, eat, dine, and enjoy the downtown. So we've decided to keep it in its true spirit of being downtown.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Thank you for all the work that you've done on it, and who knows, things may change in the future, but for this time, we're definitely keeping it downtown.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Well, I did read the 2 flyers, and it was a nice historic history of why it was downtown. It was to encourage business and things like that.
Right.
So-
So we're going to keep in that spirit.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, let's move on. Is there a motion to consider the resignation of Lenore Pearson from the Ethics Board? We've received an email from her saying that she'd like to resign from the board. We don't want her to resign from the board, but she's offered her resignation, so is there a motion to accept the resignation? Trustee Rosenasher, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? We reluctantly accept Lenore's resignation. This is a problem because the Ethics Committee has to be made up of someone who's not part of either a Democrat or a Republican. You have to find someone who's unaffiliated, and it's going to, so I'm encouraging anyone who's not registered as a Democrat or a Republican to reach out to.
Do we have members
nominate
of the
committee.
League of Women Voters? Because they're nonpartisan, so if there's somebody who's a League of Women Voters.
They're not registered voters, registered with
They're not, they have to be nonpartisan, they vote, but
Right.
they are not.
Okay, so
Affiliate.
that's a good point, we can reach out to them. So Rob, could you just make a note of that, because the Ethics Board is short one person now, and we can reach out to the League of Women's Voters and see if there's anybody.
There's a Rivertown's chapter.
If they have anybody who is not registered, but League of Women Voters members don't have to be registered as independents, do they?
No, they're not it's a nonpartisan organization, so most of the members, they vote the way they vote, but they are not affiliated with
With
any
parties.
party because they have to be
Gotcha.
nonpartisan.
Gotcha.
So,
Stephen, you're on the Ethics Board, right? Okay, so we need a person. Action item number 2 is to consider a resolution authorizing a tax certiorari settlement with the petitioner Mohammed Faraz Khan, now known as Faraz Ayez Khan, and Alia Khan for property located at 84 Ogden Place West. Laura Lee, do you want to?
I don't know anything about this.
So Rob. Jeff, somebody tell us.
We
why did you
have
give money
special
away?
counsel, Maria, I can never pronounce
Yeah.
it.
Hadukovich, Maria
Tax
Hadukovich.
Hadukovich, yeah.
Tax cert settlement that the town has negotiated. You know, kind of, we don't have a lot of input in it. The board does need to approve it, though.
So this represents tax refunds for years 2017 through up to date, and it's a total of $14,139.86. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to authorize this payment? Trustee Taylor, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor? That passes unanimously.
I just want to point out that this was subject to, this property owner was subject to bankruptcy and had completed the bankruptcy. We did file a notice, but apparently there wasn't enough during the bankruptcy for us to receive the amount of the taxes that we're owing and due. This is a problematic property. This was the subject of subdivision with some required public improvements years and years ago. The neighbors are still very concerned that the public improvements haven't been completed. I think there's some sort of outstanding bond involved. I remember discussing this with the former building inspector, but perhaps it's a time for us again to take a look at this. We were actually hoping the town would take this in auction and actually we could get the proceeds and complete this project. It's a very problematic property.
Are you saying that we have taxes owed on this property and we are now?
So there are,
No, I believe that they were discharged.
there are taxes owed on the property, but there will be no refunds until that back tax is
Correct.
settled.
Right.
So this is sort of escrowing this amount of money in order to give to them after they pay their back taxes?
Correct. So the dollar amount that's on there right now is kind of a moving target at this point because there's penalties and interest and all that stuff that will also need to be refunded, percentage-wise. So this number is, right now, to me, a placeholder.
Right. And they'll have to pay the back taxes in reverse order.
Everything has to be paid back before any refunds will occur.
Let's take a closer look at that.
We
Rob.
will.
Let's make a note of that. Let's take a closer look at that. Now, I
I'll pop
realize the
it back to
property
the
that
top
you're
of it,
talking.
but I know it's problematic, and we've been contacted by the neighbors a number of times.
Yeah.
It was some sort of funky thing with the bond, and that they didn't complete the public amenities and the streets and the turnaround and the cul-de-sac, so I'll pull the file.
So there's the tax, on the tax levy, there's a lien for the repairs that I think that you're referring to. I don't know if that was all of the repairs that needed to be done, but there is money that has been assessed on their taxes in the past.
Yeah, I think the problem was that the bond was taken at a time when the cost of improvements were much lower, so even, I believe that former building inspector indicated that even if we had called part of the bond, we wouldn't have enough money to complete the improvements in today's dollars, so there was a problematic issue. And I know former Administrator Richard Lyons was also working on trying to get an answer to this, and I'll reach out to him, see if I can refresh my memory where we left it off.
Yeah, I remember discussing it. So, okay, let's not forget about this and let's move forward with it. Okay, action item number 3. Action item number 3, we do have a report from the fire department certifying the listing of points for members who've voted certain number of hours responding to fire calls, and based upon that, they do get credited and certified. So we all have the listing of all the members and the amount of time that they volunteered. So along those lines, is there a motion to certify the 2023 points listing for the Village of Dobbs Ferry Fire Department Length of Service Awards Program? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Gallen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 4 is along the same lines, only involving the ambulance corps. We do have a listing of people who volunteered their time and qualified for certain credits, though that number is not nearly as much as the fire department, and we urge people to contact the ambulance corps to join. But is there a motion to accept the certification for the 2023 points listing for the Dobbs Ferry Volunteer Ambulance Corps Length of Service Awards Program? Trustee Patino, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 5, to consider a resolution to renew a petroleum bulk storage permit for the storage of fuel at the DPW garage. We have a memo dated February 22nd, 2024, from Jennifer Dorman explaining how it works. And we also have a renewal notification. If there is no questions, is there a motion to authorize the Department of Public Works to renew a petroleum bulk storage permit for the storage of fuel at the DPW garage? Trustee Rosenasher, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 6 is to consider a resolution to authorize a budget amendment for the cost of a previously approved garbage truck. So Jeff, this is just about moving money from one spot to another on the budget?
Yeah, it just has to do with timing when you approve purchasing the truck and the budget year. So yes, just need to fund it.
Okay, so is there a motion to authorize a budget amendment for the cost of a previously approved garbage truck, moving it from the fund balance to another action item line on the budget? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. That passes unanimously. When's that garbage truck gonna come, Steve? April. Wow. Okay. Is it less noisy than the other garbage trucks that come by my house at 5 o'clock every morning?
15 years old?
Should be up by 5.
Get the champagne ready, Will.
We all get your ride on it?
Or at 6 a.m.
They do on they come by my house at 5:30.
They all have to leave to get it.
Oh, you get the whole fleet going by then.
I do.
Yeah, tell them to lay on the air horn.
Drop the canister.
Is there, the next action item is another amendment to the budget for the purchase of the body-worn cameras. Jeff, can you explain that?
Yeah, very similar, the timing, very late in last fiscal year was not included in the 23-24 budget. Part of this is grant money and part of it is local money.
So the part that's local money, our money, is correct me if I'm wrong, $175,975.60?
Correct.
Okay. So is there a motion to amend the 2023-2024 budget for the purchase of Axon body-worn cameras? Trustee Rosenasher, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. That passes unanimously. And Chief, just to make sure the officers are wearing the cameras? Okay. Action item number 8 is to consider a resolution calling for an increase in AIM funding. We had received a letter from the New York State Conference of Mayors and Municipal Office officials pointing out that the AIM grant has not been increased in 15 years. And for those who don't know what the AIM grant stands for, it's money that the local villages get from the federal government, which help us pay for our municipal services. It stands for aid and incentives for municipalities. And with the 2% tax cap that's put on us, the AIM money is crucial for us being able to meet our bills and meet our spending. So I did sign a letter on behalf of the village, which I submitted to the governor, asking for her to increase the amount of the AIM spending. And this is a resolution that I think almost all the neighboring communities are passing as well. So is there a motion to?
Right, can I just say something about the AIM funding too? So the AIM funding is crucial funding for schools. It comes from the state and it was withheld for a lot of years. And Senator Shelley Mayer, who's head of the Education Committee, and Andrews through Cousins worked very hard to get that money put back in. It got put back in and then it wasn't adjusted. So the governor cut back on this funding. They're still at the point in the budget where they can move things around. So it is very important that the governor feels the pressure from the local communities to get this funding reinstated with the increases that all the schools were due, because for so long they didn't get any of it.
This is only for schools?
No.
No.
But it's
also
it's
for
based on, yeah.
I don't even know how much we get in AIM funding, but it's very,
It's been flatlined for 15
Right.
years.
right, but it's a nice,
It's about
money that we
70.
use. What is-
Never, it
About
hasn't been
70
adjusted.
About 70 or 80,000?
About 77,000, yeah.
All right.
Should have gone up by 45% over the years, and it just hasn't.
Correct.
Move.
Okay, so is there a motion to authorize the Board of Trustees calling for an increase in the AIM funding? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor, passes unanimously. And like I said, I've already submitted the letter, sent it in.
Good thing we voted yes.
Well, I did it as, on my behalf as the mayor, now we have a resolution making it twice. Action item number 9 is to consider a resolution approving the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer. Jeff, is there anything unusual that we should consider?
Nothing unusual, unless there's any questions.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the audit of claims as submitted? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. That passes unanimously. I have here that I'm reading this announcement as a public should be advised that notice is hereby given that a public workshop will be conducted by the Village Board of Trustees on March 8th, 2024 at 1 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard to discuss the 2024-2025 tentative budget for the Village of Dobbs Ferry to be held at 112 Main Street, Dobbs Ferry, New York, 10522. Trustee Galen, do you have anything to tell us?
The downtown committee is working on some really exciting ideas that they have for programming this summer that possibly could augment the presentation we heard from Kendra earlier tonight, if she and the trustees are amenable. There's a couple of possible events that could take place that that they want to bring to the board's attention. One is bringing the Phoenicia Flea back this year, which the Flea would be very eager to come back to Dobbs Ferry. They've shared with us that Dobbs Ferry is one of the most popular events in their summer calendar, and the vendors have all done really well there, and there's a massive interest from their vendors to be one of the selected vendors for Dobbs Ferry, so that's fantastic. And then we have heard early rumblings about some folks who are interested in potentially bringing some kind of vintage or antique fair to the waterfront as well. So the downtown committee is collaborating with folks who are interested in those kinds of things. And then also they are going to bring forward some ideas for some programming over the summer some of which will involve probably some street closures, but basically events to bring more people to the downtown. I think based on the presentation we heard tonight, everything that they're working on is very much in line with what the consultants from the Downtown Improvement Grant have shared that folks in Dobbs Ferry want based on the survey results. So it's just amazing to see all of the work that's happening on the downtown front from the grant, from the Downtown Advocate, and from the committee as well.
Thank you. Trustee Rosenberg.
Neither of none of my committees have met since our last meeting, but I feel I can safely say that the Affordable Housing Task Force is delighted that the RFQ is out.
Deputy Mayor Sullivan.
The Youth Services Council is hosting an open gym night for Dobbs Ferry Middle School students this Friday, March 1st, from 7 to 9 in the high school gym. There'll be basketball, volleyball, music, and free pizza.
Trustee Rosen Asher.
As I mentioned before, we'll be hosting Greenberg Pride again on June 23rd down at the waterfront. So the Human Rights and Diversity Committee is working on that. We are coming to the end of Black History Month and entering Women's History Month. And I'm trying to think, the seniors have a whole bunch of stuff going on, including their St. Patrick's Day celebration, which I believe is on the 14th. And that's all I have.
Okay. Trustee Patino.
I have nothing for tonight.
Trustee Taylor.
Nothing from the library, but I do want to just emphasize the success and, on behalf of all of us, our thanks to Sustainable Dobbs, whose efforts have earned a NYSERDA grant for a clean energy project of $175,000 with over $200,000 more potentially in the offing. They're going to be here next meeting in 2 weeks, so I guess in a way I'm stealing their thunder, but they really deserve credit as being a tremendous force of positive in a lot of different ways for the village.
Are they bringing in, or do they have ideas for,
They would like to collaborate with the board on ideas for what the clean energy project could or should be. And there are a lot of things that we could be doing.
awesome.
Just to talk about the RFQ that trustee Rosenberg alluded to, Laura Lee, could you state that we have posted it, it has been
Sure.
sent out?
Yep, we've received interest with Valerie Monastra's assistance. All of the developers who had engaged with the Affordable Housing Task Force, and I just want to say thank you for your service because they did a yeoman's job. Their connections have been contacted. Also, the press release has been prepared and will go out. But just a reminder that Monday, this coming Monday, it's at 10, is the site walk. So we're hoping as many of the trustees can come and meet the individuals who will be potentially responding to do the site walk of the 3 properties, answer questions. The Village Board of Trustees will be taking this project over very soon and will be engaging directly after reviewing the proposals and deciding, what direction to go in. And most of the directions that will be potential will require zoning changes. So I think it's important for you to hear from the developers and to sort of test to see what their interest is in terms of the properties. So that Monday, it would be Monday morning at 10 o'clock.
We're meeting in Village Hall, 10 o'clock.
And they're just going to walk the property. It's an option. All the developers don't have to come, but they have expressed interest in coming to take a look at the property.
Could you send an Outlook invite, Rob, to the trustees so we have it on our Outlook calendar?
Yes.
Great. Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
may I have 2 things I'd
certainly,
like to
many.
announce. I just wanted to remind the public that since the Rivertowns Enterprise is not in publication right now, that our legal notices for the Board of Trustees and various statutory boards are being published in the Journal News. The second thing, I received a letter dated February 12th from the Westchester County Marine Corps Reserve unit. I'm just going to read it briefly here. Dear Elizabeth Draper, on behalf of the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation, and the Toys for Tots Westchester County campaign, I'd like to thank you for your participation in the 2023 Toys for Tots. Your commitment to helping Toys for Tots Westchester County provide the joy of Christmas and send a message of hope to Westchester County's less fortunate children is sincerely appreciated. This year, your contribution helped us distribute 43,961 gifts to over 29,365 disadvantaged children in our community. Please accept my sincere appreciation for your participation and support. You're truly making a difference in the life of Westchester's less fortunate children. Without people like you, we would not be able to do what we do. In close, please find our United States Marine Corps Reserve Commander's Award for your participation in this year's campaign. Best wishes for a happy and healthy new year from the coordinator of the county. And the award is to the Village of Dobbs Ferry. So
That's great.
I just wanted to thank the mayor and the board for your continued support. As you all know, this means a lot to me. And thank the community for their generosity, neighbors, everybody. It's been wonderful, and this year will be my 41st year as collecting toys. So thank you very much, and I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for everything that you've done. And take a picture, not a selfie, but have someone take a picture with you holding that
All
so we could put it in the newsletter. Okay, I know Margaret's away this week, but maybe someone else can take a picture.
You should frame that and put it up.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, hey.
49. Before I close, I just want to, there's a couple of announcements, and I really urge people to sign up for the village newsletter, because in the newsletter, there are some key announcements. One of them that I want to highlight is that we're trying something new where you can, on an informal basis, meet some of the trustees. By law, all of us cannot be in the same location without having it properly noticed. So we are going to do this on a very informal basis, where 2 or 3 of us will meet at certain locations to meet with those residents or shopkeepers who would like to discuss things with us, and they don't have the ability to come to the meetings tonight. So our first one is going to be March 9th at 10 o'clock at Climbing Wolf. And again, it'll be an informal meeting when we can sit and talk about whatever you'd like to talk about concerning the village. We will announce the future dates as we come closer to them. I also want to point out that there will be a public workshop regarding the Route 9 Complete Streets Preliminary Engineering Project. That's on March 7th from 6 to 9 at Tarrytown Senior Citizen Room.
It's at the rec center, the Tarrytown Rec Center in their senior citizen room.
Okay, yeah, it says rec center in the senior citizens room, right, okay. And if you're interested in what's happening with that project, you should make yourself available and come to that event. And there was one other announcement that I wanted to make. Yeah, people have inquired about their electric bills since the rates have gone up. In the last few months, it has gone up because of the contract with Sustainable Westchester. New York State Senator Shelley Meyer is having an informative webinar to learn about what to do about high utility bills. That's Wednesday, March 6th from 5:30 to 6:30. And the webinar will include Spanish and ASL translators. And the information is in our newsletter on how to register for that event. So if you have questions about your high utility bill, this may be a good place to start. Those of you who want to opt out of the program that the village has opted in on, you certainly have the right to do so. And then you can contact the village administrator, and he'll give you more information on how to do that. So if there's nothing further, is there a motion to close tonight's meeting? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor. Meeting is hereby adjourned.